years like this, man. It's crazy.
Welcome back, everybody. Anthony Pino from Hook Optics here in Ocean City, Maryland. Got my buddy Nick back in Miami, but spent the whole week back up here in Ocean City as well, man. How'd you like it?
Loved it. It's a great week in God's country.
Cool.
Weather wasn't the best, but we made it work.
It was not. So we're gonna do a little review this week on the tournament happenings in Ocean City, starting with the Big Fish Classic, then the Heels and Reels / Marlins for Masons weekend, and then the big one, the White Marlin Open. It's come and gone. It was extended a little bit. I feel like it was a long week, but a short week at the same time. So
Start us off with the Big Fish Classic. Who were our winners in that?
the money winners are going to be the Rochambeau, the Undertaker with a White Marlin, and the primary search with a 305-pound big eye. That's
Wow.
I think that's as rare as catching it. Like, I don't know. We'll have to ask Mark about that. But I think that's
305, huh?
over 300-pound big eye is a pretty amazing fish. Like a not normal, like
Yeah.
an anomaly of a fish. And then the
It's like a grander.
yeah, that's I feel like it's a grander or 100-pound White Marlin or something like that. It doesn't happen very often. So and then the MJ is with 1,077 stringer to walk away with the tuna stringer purse. And
how many fish was that? 3, 4?
Five. Yeah, I mean, that's just massive. Like, and I mean, I don't know those guys. I know Michael a little bit, the captain owner, but Mark DeCavia told me that they did the same thing. They put on a big eye clinic up in Block Island too. So, and then Willie,
Those guys are good, man.
They are.
They're good.
What do you think about fishing for the money, less so for the fish? Because this will segue into what the conversation I had with John Duffy too later when we get to the White Marlin Open. But like, I mean, sometimes like in these tournaments where there's different categories up here, I feel like there's definitely a easier path to get to the scales with fishing for big eyes, you know. And sometimes the money, if the marlin fish is not that good, the money rolls down to the big eyes too. So it's kind of could be a win-win. But for us, that's just not what we do.
Yeah.
What do you think?
Obviously, I think you could speak on it more than me because that's out of my element up there, and definitely catching big eyes is way out of my element. I feel like I'd have a better chance coming across a billfish.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I do think you do see the same 5 boats that are probably winning the tuna division every year.
Yeah, or close to it, you know, like they're weighing fish either way. And you know, I feel like weighing fish in some of these tournaments is, even if you don't win a lot of money or win any money at all, is a success in and of itself, because it's rare to even go to the scales in some of these tournaments, you know.
Yeah.
So yeah, the Rochambeau with a 535-pound blue marlin. Willie Zimmerman's been on a roll. He's just won the tuna division in the Jimmy Johnson, kind of doing that same thing, fishing for big eyes. So he was marlin fishing this time, caught a 535-pound blue marlin. So it's pretty cool for Willie. And then Austin on the primary search, 305-pound big eye, dude. That's an absolute monster. Like,
yeah, it's crazy.
The Undertaker with a 68-pound white marlin, $167,000. Pretty good haul there up there. And then there was some really incredible release fishing that happened. Howard Lynch on the Kilo Charlie had like a good day. I think he caught 10 or something like that, and kind of paddled to the south. This is an overnight tournament, so you don't have to fish it overnight, but it's kind of advantageous too. And
why is that?
Because you get a 36-hour period no matter what. So you start fishing at a certain time, you end it. Now you don't have to be out there the whole time, but you can. So you get, if you wanted to run in, you're still losing a couple hours in the morning and a couple hours in the evening and a couple hours in the morning. You know what I
Oh,
mean?
so you could fish till sunset and start fishing when you get some light?
No, you can fish all night too because they have a swordfish category. And
Oh wow.
yeah, actually, some people troll for big eyes into the middle of the night too. So um,
Was that 305 big guy, was that at night or was that trolling?
no, in the middle of the day trolling. So, but people have caught big eyes in the middle of the night. So, and then the split bill swordfish, they had a great 38 Henriquez hook optics customer. So I rate them very highly in my book. They won the swordfish with a 105-pound swordfish. So I think they called that day timing too. I'm not sure, but and then Croft Upchurch took a little bit of swordfish money on the poor man, 95 pounder too. So overall, pretty decent fishing. And like I said, the release fishing, we were all kind of, a fair amount of us were like fishing from the Spencer up to the Carteret marlin fishing. And it was not what we had hoped it would be. There were some boats like 4 or 5 days before that tournament that had some really good white marlin fishing, and it was not what we hoped it would be. So, um, in the middle of the night, we kind of put some sword baits out and drifted the Spencer, and we caught like 5 out of 6 or 7 the first day. White Marlin's nothing really great, but the Undertaker was close to us. Corey Kennington on the Undertaker was right there, like a couple miles north of us. I think he killed that fish in there, like in the Carteret. So I guess he wasn't that close.
Where's the Carteret?
The Carteret is on from an Ocean City perspective, be the Baltimore, Wilmington, Spencer, Linda Cole, Carteret. The Carteret's a little canyon, but it's productive. So I think we fished down that way. Yeah, we fished down. I fished down to the Spencer, ran a couple times. Kind of never really found anything that like looks super good. And maybe that's my problem this year is like I'm looking for something that's not there, and I really need to start either covering more ground or looking for smaller details in the water and try and instead of running all over the place and kind of looking for something on the surface that give me an indicator to stop. You know what I mean?
Can't be afraid to fish in some ugly water.
I mean, it wasn't ugly water. It was just like a broad area, and it wasn't like a real great. It wasn't defined. You know what I mean? There
Yeah,
wasn't
yeah.
a clear grass edge, blue green change, couple degree change. It was kind of, yeah,
Trust me, we just witnessed it last week. So
yes, it can be very bland, but there has been some good fishing. So, I think Howard Lynch on the Kilo Charlie had some great release fishing. He caught like 8 or 10 the first day, and then he chugged to the south overnight to some. I don't know what made him do that. I have to ask him because there were some boats in that area, and it seemed like there were some bites, but nothing crazy. Didn't make me want to move down 20 miles. So me and some younger guys made a bad decision. We chugged up to some water overnight outside the Toms to some newer water, and it looked okay, and maybe I didn't give it enough time. Josh and the Shotsky saw blue out there, and Ryan on the top dog saw like two whites out there, and it looked okay. There was scatter grass and flyers, and it all looked okay, but it was early in the morning, and right where we left, there was a couple bites right off the bat. So I ran down there. Right, I panicked like I do. We ran back down there like 25 miles or something like that, and stopped and immediately caught a white. So I was like, okay, I feel better about this. And then we caught a second one, and then it kind of died. So the bill fisher was there, the special situation, a couple other boats, and there was like a couple reports, and Howard on the Kilo Charlie was getting some bites. So a couple boats took off, and I was like, you know what, it wasn't that great. And then the bill fisher took off, so I started to pick up and run. And being on a boat that doesn't hold an enormous amount of fuel, I had my doubts. And I asked the owner who's owned the boat for its entire lifetime. I was like, man, are we going to make it? And I was pretty confident we were, but not pretty confident when it comes to fuel is not good enough. So
Yeah.
I bailed. I was too far to run back to where we came from. So I just ran into the southwest corner of the Wilmington. We ended up catching some tunas and missing a decent blue marlin. Nothing that would have done any good for the kill, but it was a nice encounter, and it was a decent fish. And yeah, and they come to find out, like, I think the real joy was fun fishing. He caught like 15 or 16 whites. The billfisher did their billfisher thing with like 13 that morning and like 6 on top of that the day the day before. So yeah, they found it, and it was like, it's like what they described to me was what I remember growing up white marlin fishing here. Sailor gulls wheeling around. You set out and you get a before you get everything out, you get a bite. They said it was very, very good fishing. I did. My boss was gracious enough and had the energy to go out the next day. So we did a turnaround, and we went out the next day, and we did catch 6 out of 12 or 13 bites. So, or 7, 12 or 13 bites in that area. And it did look good, but like Ocean
Where
said,
was that at?
that was out in the dump site, like behind the Wilmington, or more behind the Baltimore area. I think what we picked up to run down from east of the Spencer, we had like 25 miles to go in the wrong direction. So we were going to burn like 60 gallons getting down there, 60, 70 gallons getting down there. And I wasn't sure. We had a third of a tank left, which would have been like 500 gallons left.
How many boats were there with Duffy when he was catching those
It
fish?
was good. There was quite a few, and
Like everybody was catching fish?
yeah, everybody, like, that was the thing. Like, this year so far, it's been a very feast or famine thing, even if you're right there the entire time. But they definitely everybody had good fishing. Like, I remember pulling in with our 7 and just being like embarrassed. Like, I wasn't there to get really embarrassed, but my bad decision to run up to the Toms instead of go that direction really, really screwed us, you know. So you can't win them all, and it wasn't even close. But yeah, the Bill Fisher had an incredible
What do you catch? 18?
day. I think it was like 2350 points. The Kilo Charlie had won the release division, so that was like 20 in a blue. And then the Bill Fisher would like 20 1700. So I can't remember what the points ratio was. So in hindsight, I should have did my catch report. I should probably edit this out because we would have been third in that Calcutta. I'm just finding this out now, which would have paid a whopping $1,260. But
1200.
yeah, so, but overall, pretty great fishing, and yeah, the MJs. I think that was probably the most impressive display of the whole week was the MJs just getting it done in the Wilmington on the first day. I went down there the next day. We missed one in the heels and reels, and the Marlins for Masons. My friend Danny on the reel one, 50 Spencer. Danny Prettyman and Eric, they won the heels and reels in the ladies tournament with 3 whites, and also second place was the Espadon with 2 whites, non-sonar fish. And then third place, which was second place money, was the Lights Out with our wonderful editor and my girlfriend Rachel on the boat, and Chester Sims was the captain. They caught 2 blues. Rachel got to catch 1, so that was pretty cool.
Nice.
So the first tournament she ever invested in, she ended up winning more than she spent. So consider that a wild success. Yeah.
Quit now while you're ahead.
For anybody that's tournament fished and knows this, yeah, I mean that's a fantastic success. So thanks, Chester, and for inviting her. She had an amazing time, amazing group of ladies on that boat. So fun was had by all. We missed one. Danny, I was right next to Danny when they called us three, and I was just, I did the same thing. I went looking for something better, and there was nothing better, and I was just out to lunch again. It's really been that set off a series of events that lasted through the White Marlin Open, basically.
Chasing ghosts.
I was chasing ghosts, man, chasing fish in conditions that were not there, dreaming up things that were not there,
Do you think sometimes, I mean, you or other guys for that matter, get too dependent on water shots?
To stay ahead of the fishing and try to be fishing on your own a little bit, you need them. And certainly for the White Marlin Open, we didn't have that. And so you had to fish the reports. And I feel like I have a pretty decent network. I just don't know if I was like able to put it all together. You know what I mean? And draw a good picture in my head or even on paper. I've done that before. I like draw out where everybody is. But yeah, we are very dependent on
But
it.
when you have so many boats and you have so much water, and it's not like one guy's getting better water shots than another guy. Everyone's getting
No.
the same water shots, and then 200 boats go fishing and 3 boats land on them. How's that make sense?
If you have a water shot, there's probably some semblance of logic in the water shot, like at least the general aspect, like the general vicinity. Now,
I
if you
mean, like,
look,
do these guys go for more of a gut feeling of like, hey, I fished here the other day and maybe this water is moving this way,
some
or
reason, I mean, that was so day one of the White Marlin Open, we end up out there in the dump site. You guys, you and JC went the same direction. The Bill Fisher, the Mama C, Southern Seas, Max Bet, Crazy Salt, some boats that I really some of my heroes and some guys that I really respect their opinion and what they do, like all went the same place looking for. That was the only place that there was a decent water shot and it looked okay, right? And I was like, man, the problem, I think the reason why we were so dependent on the water shots, especially these during these big tournaments, is that the established fishing is so like it's known about. There's no secret, like we try to keep it. I'm not saying we, but whoever finds the decent fishing tries to keep it a little under wraps. You can't do it, but it's never like plant spot A, the best spot that you would fish during a weekday in Ocean City is not gonna is gonna have 60 boats on it.
yeah.
So you try to get away from that a little bit. And sometimes you hear a second hand report and you look at your water shot and you're like, man, that guy caught that there. Kind of makes sense. So I don't know, you try to take all the information, and it's a fuckload of information from every which way. And I'm thankful for my like local small boat network, because they put me on a lot of fish over the years. um Being growing up here and having people that fish kind of more like tuna fishing, or maybe your fish obscure areas for whatever reason, and then you find out, oh, so and so caught 10, that maybe the big tournament traveling boats don't have that access to that information all the time. But there's always I feel like if you're able to look at a water shot, you can take the reports and kind of whittle them into some sort of logic, you know what I mean? But since we didn't have a water shot and the water was very bland, it was harder to do that. And you want to try, in my opinion, you want to try to avoid the crowd a little bit, or make your own crowd, because once you start catching them, it's not going to be a secret for very long. So we went out there. It was a loose group of boats on day one. And, at the Riptide, I don't know who do you know the captain?
Oh yeah, good
Who's
friend.
that?
Uh, Jack, Jack Paul Haas.
Okay. So Skipjack was
Really,
he was running the boat?
yeah, young
Oh man.
kid, first time running a boat. I think he won that Tri-City State tuna tournament,
Okay.
and yeah, sure enough, wins a daily, and kid could fish.
Puts on a clinic. I mean, what was it? He caught 3 blue marlins and seen 4 or 5 whites right off the bat.
Yeah, right next to us.
Yeah, and then you guys paddled in there. What happened, Nick? What happened? Are we gonna talk? Can we talk about that?
Watching Jack hook a few small fish next to us, and
Blues,
we
blues,
blues,
right?
yep.
Yep.
And he literally said like a little bit before that, he's like, "Man, there's got to be a big one around here somewhere." And sure enough, we got a mark. I didn't think I didn't think it was gonna be a big fish by any means, and um, Mark hit him on the up and down, and as soon as I turned around, the thing was already piled on the left chain. Popped the left short, kind of disappeared for a second. I told him to throw just the regular pitch, not the big pitch by any means. And thank the Lord, it actually just got drilled on the right short, and it pulled out a substantial amount of line pretty quick. And like in my head, I'm like, man, that's a lot of line on a 130. And sure enough, it jumped, and everyone kind of agreed it was time to get the gaffs out.
Nice. I seen you guys steaming and I was probably 2 or 3 miles from you when you hooked it, and I was like, oh, they're backing up. All right, cool. And then I get there and probably 3 miles at 7 knots is 25 minutes. And obviously I didn't go in a straight line because I could never go in a straight line. So um I get there and you guys are steaming backwards now and you're going to the east. And man, I've seen most fish, bigger fish here, but most blue marlins, once they get into a rhythm and they do their initial jumping around, they're going to the east. I'm like, man, they got it. I never saw what put my binoculars on you guys a couple times and I saw the boat getting after it. But I never could see if you had something big on the light rod or you just had a regular blue marlin on a light rod. But 45 minutes an hour go by and you guys are even further to the east.
We got lucky. The fish stayed on top, just kind of swam in one direction, and we just kind of, followed her till she kind of wore herself out, which she kind of wore herself out, pretty quick, never went down. And, we were able to get a couple gaps in her, and things didn't really go our way. I know there's a lot of emotion and adrenaline pumping in a scenario like that, and I know things like happen. I mean, you hear stories all the time from people.
Yeah.
So it just sucks. We had an unfortunate. She got she got hit by the prop, but it's part of it.
It sucks, dude. Like we've all I haven't hit one in the tournament, but I hit one that we were thinking about killing, and I still fucking didn't like it. But yeah, I don't know. We were talking on the dock with Tucker. They had another a fish that they lost, a
Bigger than
monster, a
ours.
sea monster. And in this day and age, we're very, especially me and you, we live in light tackle numbers fisheries, and it's a different skill to go and kill these big fish, and I mean it's something that we don't get to do very often. And we put a lot of emphasis on going places to practice for trying to be better anglers and converting on numbers, you know, Guatemala, Costa Rica, also Isla Mujeres, and down there live baiting a lot. It's all about the numbers and
DR.
the DR, but then you get up here and even these world class guys that go all over the place. I mean, you hear people struggle. You hear these stories every year. Not all of them go get it to that point. Tucker Calhoun, one of our heroes, I think. On the
Yep.
special situation, they had a really really big fish. And they had they had the gaffs in it instead of and Tucker puts the boat in gear and the pulls a guy like he to avoid doing what you guys did. He puts the boat in forward and the 82 FNS with the giant propellers and
Yeah.
2600 horsepower engines creates a lot of wake, and the gas will out, and that was it. And it sucks. Like two of my favorite people, I would have loved to see you guys at the scales. I was very happy for Tucker when there was a rumor because the Bobo Joe for North Carolina had a fish on at the same time, and they got it, and they didn't. So, but yeah, so it's I don't know, it's a different skill, and we're not used to it. The guys in the Gulf are probably very proficient at it, and the guys in Hawaii obviously are very proficient at it. We are a lot of the boats here are not
Yeah.
are not
You just gotta keep your head up, and you know what? It's a learning experience.
yeah. So, but you guys had a couple more bites after that in the first day, so that was good.
Yeah. Yeah. Pulled off a blue on a lure again, a smaller one. And then a couple cheap shots, and then had a white on for a little bit, jumping around, and ended up pulling him off after a little bit. And that was about it. The last day of our fishing, we were way offshore, and then thanks to you, you kind of gave us a report about Duffy, which I'm sure was over pretty
Yeah,
early after he caught those fish.
let's talk about that because I got sucked into a report like this on the second day. I was struggling fishing in the fleet, not really my style, but it was wonderful conditions. There was cutters on top, you could see tunas, there were some bites to be had, but I was getting frustrated with the not so much with the conditions, but the amount of boats there. So Austin on the max bet fishes down from the south side of the Baltimore and kind of stumbles on some fish out in 1,000 fathoms. I'll give it to him. He was planning on doing that sort of fish, like fishing on his own. He had caught a blue marlin out there where we were on day one. He said he's going to fish by himself, and he did. And he stumbled upon a little pack of white marlins, and he caught 8. And I remember I was like, man, he's caught 2 already. By the time I picked up the run, he'd caught his 4th. By the time I got there, he'd caught 8.
Oh wow.
And that was all his fishing. And then a couple other boats got there a little bit before me, and there was a couple other bites, but nothing really, And I was like, man, it's like with the sonars anymore, like you can get in an area with like 6 or 10 or 12 fish and catch 10 of them, and there won't be anything left over but the flowers. So it's
Yeah.
just different, like picking up the run to something like that. And I was talking to Sean on the Viking boat. He's like, "Where are you going?" I'm like, "I'm running a Austin. He's caught 4 real quick." And he's like, "Oh, cool. This is what it's gotten to." Or run into a boat that's had 4 bites. I'm like, I've had no bites, so
Yeah.
I've been having a meltdown since day one.
We ran into that Duffy bite where he of course kills a fish and wins a pile of money.
Yep.
Something he just does all the time. But yeah, man, when we got there, there's I don't even know 50 boats trolling an area, which is absurd. And you know, I,
Yeah.
I could see a good amount of boats around us, and man, I don't really recall seeing anybody hooked up around us, and it's like, what are we doing here? 50 boats trolling a little 1.5 mile area or something.
Yeah.
It's can't be
Yeah.
can't be good.
No. So, and that's what happened. Like when we ran to Austin, there was probably 20 boats that ended up there. Cause I used to do it. I used to see people like, I'd be like, I know so and so is here, and I know that they talk to each other. So if that boat picks up a run, that means that guy found it. And I used to follow him. And I don't think that many people picked up and followed because the conditions were so good right there on the 700, 900. There were tunas and freaking white marlin cutting everywhere. But yeah, I ran to him and it was over. And that was just stupid of me. Cause then, as soon as 20, 30 boats leave, then the fleet that you just were in were freaking were loosens up a little bit, and you have a little bit more room to fish. So I don't know. But we should talk about, I guess it was fish Monday and then we laid Tuesday. You guys laid Tuesday, right, too?
No, we fished Monday, Tuesday, laid Wednesday, fished Thursday.
Okay. So Wednesday was 8-8, 8-6. 8-6 was the day that the waist knot, Captain Michael Tickle, they caught their 77.5 pounder right there, 700, 900 area. And the stone cutter, I don't know where they caught theirs, and the Bobo Joe caught their blue marlin. Stone cutter being first place with 897 pounds, $520,000. I'm not sure where they were, but I think they were in that area too. And there were some other big blue marlins seen from the poor man's out to the 950s, the 700, 900. And then the Bobo Joe caught theirs, and they were having a great week overall. I mean, they caught, let's go see what they caught.
The waist knot's been a good program for a long time.
12. Yeah, the waist knot. Yeah, they've been at it. They've been coming here as long as I can remember. I know Michael, he's our age, so I don't think he was running the boat for the entire existence of the boat, but they've been coming here for a long time, putting a lot of effort into it. And I will say that when I ran over that giant net, I didn't know Michael at the time. When I ran over that giant net last year, he was one of the first people to run to me and help me out. So,
Nice.
I mean,
my first kind of in my early career traveling, when I spent a couple seasons in Bermuda, the waist knot, they were in Bermuda and doing very well. And they hung the biggest fish I still ever seen, obviously in person. They hung a 911 in Bermuda that year.
yeah, they've been at it for quite some time, man. So, and like I said, I owe Michael a lot for running to me. He didn't have to, he didn't know me, but that's kind of the. So I texted him. I was like, I don't know if it was God or karma or what, but I'm happy for you, and I think I'm thankful for you were there to help me. So, like, definitely a super nice guy and program that's been around for a while. So happy for them.
Big win.
Yeah, huge win. $3.7 million. I mean, that's life-changing money for the crew, man. That's fantastic.
Yeah.
So, and then the Bobo Joe, they had a great week. 12 white marlins and a 789-pound blue marlin. $112,000. Captain Patrick Bird and his mates Tyler Sudbrick and Catlin Peel. So
they caught a ton of whites the pre-fish day.
Yeah, they had a couple really really good days. If there was I don't know if there was a hotter boat as far as the numbers go. So and
they caught 10 on the pre-fish day.
Yeah, they ended up getting bumped for third by the More Bills, 410,000. 894-pound blue marlin hooked right next to me on Kip that runs a real captivating, was standing in for Butch Davis, and they had a pretty good week. And I remember seeing them catch a blue and then 3 one day, so they had a pretty good week. And then they hooked that sea monster next to us while we were catching a white. So but good on them. It was a great fish. They fought it from like, I want to say like 12:30 in the afternoon, something like that, to 4 or 5 in the evening. They didn't get into the 9:15 bridge in Ocean City, so to go up to Harbor Island. So that was pretty wild.
Do you think when there's a lot of whites around, like when you see good white fishing, do you tend to see any big blues mixed in?
I had somebody, yeah, I think when there's a lot of white marlin fishing around, it means there's incredible conditions. There's typically giant yellowfins around, which there was. The the whiskey kilo caught Captain Jojo caught 185-pound Allison yellowfin,
Wow.
like in there with the white marlins. Pretty wild. So I just think when there's that amount of white marlins around, and everybody says that the fishing was slow, and it was, but there was a ton of boats, and there were still fish cutting on top, and there's still decent days to be had. I think that when that amount of bait is around now, I was in that area and I didn't see an almost 900-pounder coming out of there, but that goes to show why we didn't catch anything. There was good bait and stuff, but I mean, I don't think I marked any tunas. There was just small, what I would consider small bait that white marlin and yellowfin would eat. But yeah, they were right next to us, but good for them, man. And then old Mark de Blasio and the Blue Runner doing what he does with the tunas. One a million, just over $1 million. 220 pound big eye, dude. Just what he does. Yeah. It's one of those guys that understand the big eye fishing and they put their time in. They're committed. There's no changing from that. They're committed to the big eye fishing.
Where do you know where those guys are fishing for them?
They're in this tournament. It was either the Wilmington or the Washington, like the corner of the Wilmington, corner of the Washington, like
But like in tight or out deep?
in on the bottom, like in the corner. There's these small little notches in the corner of these canyons, and for some reason, there's a bunch of bunch of bait there and pilot whales. And you could tell, like I can't tell, but some of the good people, the people that spend their time doing it, can tell what they're when it's going to be good. The split bill, they spent their time and they weighed a fish and qualified some stuff for the small boat category in there too. So, and they were up in the Wilmington, I believe. I believe the better the big eye fishing this tournament was in the Wilmington. So, yeah. So it's like, I'll have to show you on the chart, but it's like there's the canyon, and then there's like a little notch on the northeast corner. There's like a notch, and then there's the northeast corner, and they're only like a mile apart. And that that's where that was going on for sure. And there's typically a pile of boats that do it, and all the time it's the same people that do the big eye thing. I don't like doing it because I'm not any good at it, and I just haven't spent enough time doing it, and I don't want to. I'm terrified to just sit around all day and then watch. Oh, look, the Blue Runner. Look, the MJ's got him again.
Yeah.
But, so yeah. So, and then last day, the Bill Fisher decides to fish inside the tip of the poor man's.
Yeah. So I mean, what? Well, I guess I did hear that the floor reel was in there the day before.
The Real Current. There's a boat called the Real Current. I got the same report, but I just didn't do anything about it like he did. And yeah, there was a boat that in there that caught that seen 10. And what's weird is that I was almost in there the day before. I ran to Austin, and then I ran into the poor man's, and I didn't quite get in there. And I don't know. I didn't stick to my guns. I started out in the fleet, then I made a move. But I talked to Johnny right before lines in. And he said, "It looks all right. I'm staying in here. I don't care what goes on." And he said, "There's a little bit of bait, and I think it looks okay."
I wonder how many boats were in there when he was in there. Couldn't have been many.
There wasn't many. There's 4 or 5 boats in there.
Yeah.
And yeah, I was talked to him. He said he texted me. I'll go through the text conversation because we'll like it. He texted me 8:59. Texted him any action. He said 1 for 1. We actually caught one. I said, "Wow, that's cool. That's pretty impressive," because neither of us had a bite for 2 days. Then he goes 9:54. Caught a double, set back out, caught a single. Probably going to head in soon. And I texted back, I just got a gaffed a 68 incher. So did you? And then I called him. Then there was a phone call. And while I'm on the phone with him, he goes, "Oh yeah, he's coming back on you." And he said, "I gotta go." 10:37. Did you kill one? Just did. Qualifying, barely 70 inches. And that was the end of it.
Wow.
So yeah, he had one of the little, he had a little pack and a little bit of bait. And he said during that phone call, he said, maybe there was another phone call in between. He goes, he said somebody went right into my dot and hooked a double header blue marlin. I think it was a boat called the Doghouse, but Viking seafood green Viking. And I was like, oh, okay. And I just we had caught one by that point. That was my first bite in 3 days. So I was like, not really feeling leaving where I was. And yeah, so he caught that 1.7 million or whatever. So
Crazy.
yeah. So he, we'll have to get him on to discuss the theory behind
Was anything killed on the final day?
as far as marlin go. No, there was a wahoo and a daily tuna, and there was a white marlin that was killed, but it wasn't big enough to weigh. I don't even think they brought it to the scales. So but yeah, we did gaff our 68 incher because I knew that there wasn't much on the board, and second place is probably going to pay a lot.
Yeah.
$500,000 or so, and I wasn't going to bet $1 million on that thing being not 70 inches.
Yeah. No, you got to do it.
Yeah, so luck would have it, it did have a tag in it. And I called the Billfish Foundation this morning, and apparently the fish was caught in Morocco a year ago.
Come on.
Yeah. So the Billfish Foundation is trying to get in the bottom of it, but I thought that one of my buddies who tags fishes a lot, like Richie Barrett, who I've caught one of his tagged fish before, I was like, oh, it's definitely Rich Barrett. And who caught it? She was like, yeah, it probably was. And then she goes, no way. And I go, whoa, it's actually Rich Barrett's fish. And she goes, no, it was caught in Morocco.
How crazy is that?
I know the guy's name. I'm gonna butcher his name, but it's like Laurent is his first name. I follow him on social media. Does great work over there in Morocco. And it was caught a year ago in Morocco, and apparently it was the first one to that they know that has crossed the Atlantic.
Wow.
So I'm curious to see. She wasn't quite sure. Laurent Chayoun, out of Morocco, Casablanca, Morocco. I'll be curious to see how it works out. But she was pretty confident that it came from Morocco, but it's the first evidence of a white marlin transiting the Atlantic, which I guess that is probably not more uncommon than to have a recapture like that, but I'm sure they cross the Atlantic. There's a massive current that comes off of North Africa right there past Cape Verde and goes right to towards Brazil, in the northern part of Brazil and the northwestern part of South America, and up into the West Indies, so I'm sure they have to paddle that current.
Yeah. But, no, and you hear of a big white marlin population in Morocco. So.
Oh yeah, there's definitely a fair bit of white marlins there, and they have if you go in Windy and you can look on.
That makes me think though, are these fish what these Ocean City fish are is that their trajectory of crossing the Atlantic after winter comes or something?
I don't know. Typically the fishing gets if you if you think about how the fishing develops, comes from north to south here, and then it dissipates and goes. What happens a lot of times when we have good organized pieces of water, which you haven't seen yet, but they'll develop in the north. We'll have great fishing all the way down to like the Washington, Norfolk area, and sometimes if we have the right conditions, it continues down into the Carolinas, and then eventually the water gets sucked back out in the Gulf Stream and the fish go with it. Now, I don't know, and this is something that I would love to hear when fish are migrating or traveling. Do they swim with the current or against the current? You would think they swim with it, but I don't know. I definitely know that I definitely have a theory about when they are.
Well, our sailfish tend to swim against it.
Yeah, but I have a theory that when they're feeding, they swim against it, because I mark a lot of white and blue marlin here and in Costa Rica and in Mexico too, where the current was, especially with the whites, was very much very obvious which way it was going, right? And when they're up feeding, it seems like they're paddling against the current. Now, I don't know if they spend their whole life doing that. That would seem difficult for me to believe. So, but I know that when the water gets sucked back out in the Gulf Stream, they're fucking gone. So, and then it goes way out to the east, and we know a lot of our good fishing comes back around from the northeast. So I don't know. I mean, I guess that's a mystery that we'll never know, but I think at some points they do swim with the current, when they're migrating certain places. But I don't know. I mean, the ocean's a wild place, and I know they have like probably a built-in GPS, but I think they get lost a lot. So I got lost, and I had all sorts of technology helping me.
That's funny.
So,
that's funny.
But yeah, so I'm super curious to make sure that they confirm that. But I mean, I don't know what else we can confirm. The people who bought it live in France and fish in Morocco. So
that's pretty cool, man.
Yeah. So that's one cool thing that's come out of this tournament. Obviously, you learn more and more every tournament, but it was far from. I was kind of annoyed that first day when you guys had that bite, because I never really had like the bite in the White Marlin Open. So I was kind of
we had it.
I was like, these fucking guys come here and from Miami, throw this whole thing together, front up here, and
I know it would have been such a.
It would have been a fairy tale.
Story would have been,
a fairy tale. Fairy tales. Yeah, I was obviously rooting for you, but I was like, come on, man. It's the luck element of this tournament, like I do feel like, some of the boats that, as far as the waist knot and the billfisher, they've earned their stripes here. They've been here fishing, and they've both had good and bad tournaments over the last 15, 20 years. So they've been here every year doing it very, very well, working really hard at it.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, that's it.
Get ready for round 2.
Yeah, man. I was so happy that you guys made it up here, spend a week with you, and now that you guys are docked basically right behind us, should
across, yeah, pretty nice,
fun mid-Atlantic. So,
the way this tournament works is White Marlin's not a priority, right? It's equal.
It's more equal, but the White Marlin is still the prize, like the more of the prize. So the white, it still rolls white, blue tuna, the similar way that the White Marlin Open does, but it's a little bit. There's a lot more chances to win over a couple $100,000 in this tournament, whereas the White Marlin Open's very top heavy with the winner take all bets. Then there are some winner take all bets, but the big fish come from, or it's a little bit more spread out. So, and they cap the number of boats, which is good. I don't think.
Why do they do that?
I don't necessarily think it's good.
Why do they do that?
Because of the amount of people, because they have dinners Monday, Wednesday, and Friday night.
But that's in Cape May though, right?
No, that's in Ocean City too, in both places. So but they
Oh,
have
both places.
yeah. So what the tournament directors told me is because of the amount of people that they have to feed. Like if it got to the point of the White Marlin Open doesn't do any tournament nights or anything like that because there's like 5,000 people participating in the White Marlin Open. So
Yeah. You
so
need every food line in the Maryland county.
yeah. Um, so I think that's why they cap it like that. So it's good, and I don't know because it still seems crowded out there, but the fishing across the board seems a little bit better for the MidAtlantic than the Marlin Open per boat. It's a little later in the year, so that's typically a better sign too. But I'm looking forward to it. I've done pretty well in the last couple of years, 4 or 5 years. So
All right, we're excited.
gotta try to cash a check and try to be like my hero Johnny or my nemesis. Depends on what day it is of the week.
Oh man,
So
you'll be up there soon.
I hope, man. Everybody's gonna be like this guy. Sorry, everybody, for making a complaint fest.
Oh man.
But yeah, man, I'm like I said, we got the ladies tournament, poor girls. Hook Optics is sponsoring that. I doubt this will be out before that, but Hook Optics is sponsoring the poor girls. We sponsored the White Marlin Open. It was a fantastic week for people checking out Hook Optics, and my mother and father and brother putting a ton of work, and our employees as well, my girlfriend as well. Yeah, it was a great week, and we're super thankful for the Motzkow family that they put this on because it's truly why I started fishing was this tournament and why I fell in
No,
love with it.
it's amazing. I was just telling a few people since I got back, it really is.
How was your
The energy is just unbelievable. I mean, the fact that going out in the 3 in the morning, 3:30, and people are already watching you, waving to you as you leave is absolutely incredible. And then coming back in, you know, since we were at Harbor Island, I mean, the entire ride from the jetty to Harbor Island,
it's
there's
just people,
thousands of people waving. And like, I mean, how cool is that? I mean,
yeah. How was your experience at the scales, like at Harbor Island? Because I've never like worked on a boat there. Like,
yeah, no, it was cool. It's honestly not a bad place to be, honestly. I mean,
yeah,
it just, obviously it's cool to be at sunset, because that's obviously where I guess the bulk of activities are, but it was cool, energy's there. And, in the afternoon when you pull in, there's however many
it's a couple thousand,
thousand
three or
people,
four thousand
yeah,
people. Yeah,
sitting around there. Like, it's pretty insane. And then, like we'd be going to dinner, late dinners, and there'd just be like, mobs of people leaving, like,
yeah,
it's like a festival just ended, like
yeah. Oh, there's
pretty.
definitely people just as drunk as a festival.
Oh yeah, yeah. No, it's
So
amazing. It really is. I mean, just to fish it for that reason is enough.
yeah,
It's really cool.
yeah.
I
I'm
mean, that
glad. I'm glad you guys
just
made
to
it
see
out.
that many people joined for a tournament to see it. I mean, and you look at these people, I feel like they don't even their fishing consists of maybe as a fantasy or lake fishing
It's
or
certainly there.
of pure,
Yeah.
it's not nothing of the
No.
caliber of what we're doing,
Yeah. It's definitely the intrigue. The White Marlin Open over the years has just generated that level of intrigue from the places around, and people will take their summer, like their week-long vacation, and they'll base it around the White
Yeah,
Marlin
right. It's
Open
amazing.
because it's great, it's incredible, and there's people. Yeah, you talk to people. I mean, try to talk to as many people as possible. Um, and it's just great. Like you talk to them, and I'm like, "What's your fishing experience?" And like this, they're like, "This is just wild." Like the amount of money that the tournament brings to the town, and the amount of the intrigue around that it brings to sport fishing in general is really, really incredible. And I think it's hard to replicate. I've never fished a kite tournament like down there, and I know that the Jimmy Johnson's a big deal, but it's not like, I think a lot of these tournaments, the public access to it is pretty high here. You can walk down the dock in Ocean in Sunset Marine or Harbor Island and see the boats and talk to the people. And like a lot of times people are pretty, like, on the boats are pretty friendly. You can come and say hello and talk to people and ask why does this boat look like this, and what's that reel for? And I think a lot of people, and in my experience, would be pretty friendly about it.
Yeah.
So I don't know. It's just, I love it. It's a tough week on the captain's cruise, and at the end of the week, it's a lot of investment. Some people in 30 boats invested 35 boats invested $100,000 in just the Calcuttas. You got to find a way to enjoy it beyond the winning, because only four. Let's look at it real quick, but it's,
Yeah. I mean, for the amount of boats there are to the amount of winners is.
let me.
I mean, how many actually paid over 100,000?
3.7, 1.8, 520, 500, 410, 112,000, a million, 154, 147, 68. 68,000 was on the, or 68,000 was on the American Lady, 64,000 for the Catch 23. Like, man,
Well, that was 8 boats over 100,000
yeah. So, and you would consider
out of 400.
Yeah.
Or how many boats were there?
I think it was 340 something.
Pretty good.
I mean, it's still like an amazingly large tournament. Some years it's 400, over 400. I'm glad you were here to experience it. I'm glad that when people come, they can feel the energy the same way that I do.
I mean, that's what it's about right there.
Yeah. And it's just like, between the public being like, in general, 318 this year. So not a huge friggin'
I don't think the weather helped.
oh no, the weather did not help.
I actually heard some guys in the grocery store when I was doing provisions actually saying that they were bailing out.
Yeah, for some of the boats it would have been dangerous,
Yeah.
So yeah. Yeah, you would have got another 60 smaller boats, 30, 40 footers, because anybody can win, dude. That's the beauty and the frustration of this tournament, is like anybody can win, but somehow the bill fisher stays winning.
Yeah. Good stuff.
So, all right, buddy. Well, I'm so excited to have you back up here.
Yep. See you this weekend.
Gonna take the hag. I'm gonna go look around tomorrow. Seems like there's been some decent fishing, so I don't know. We'll see. I'm so hopeful for the season. So, all right, buddy.
All right. Well, good luck tomorrow, bro.
Yeah, thanks.
This episode of Backlash Radio was brought to you by Hook Optics and SquidNation.com.